We're the indie project Bee and Theo, and we've been living and travelling the world in vans for the past 6 years. We're currently renovating an abandoned stone barn in Portugal to turn into a beautiful tiny home for us and our cats Ginjey Bear and Furrnando. Follow our journey from the very beginning as we document the whole process of creating an off-grid home. Good morning. It's a lovely autumn morning. We're definitely getting into that season now. All the leaves are on the ground, well, half of them. The sun is lower in the sky, there's dew in the mornings, and we're going to be cutting down some dead trees today, cutting up some logs and stuff to go into our Hygge Culture beds. I'm really excited. Hidden away here we've got a partially dead fig tree. This whole half of it is completely deceased, wrapped up in vines of course, but this will be great to go in the bottom of the beds. The twigs, the branches, the main trunk of it will be really good to rot down. We've got some absolutely massive branches of this olive tree to come off that are just totally dead. Parts of it are still alive, so I don't want to cut the whole thing down, but this whole right side, as you can see, it's just dead branches that are massive, and they'll do a really good job of filling up the beds. So the concept of Hygge Culture is basically to make a very nice, rich growing environment for your plants. And behind me, it's kind of like a massive lasagna. So at the bottom you've got the biggest thing, you've got logs, massive branches and stuff. And then the next layer you've got loads of twigs, sticks and more branches. You tread on it and crush it down because it will sink over time. Then you create a really nice layer of compost with like leaf mulch and plant matter, and then you can add some different types of soil as you go and then have a topsoil. So eventually over time it will sink a little bit because you are using natural things in there. There will be holes. We'll make the best effort we can to make sure that it's as compacted as possible, and then over time the natural wood in there will rot down and break down and create a really nice rich environment. So over the years we'll be able to continue growing absolutely amazing fruit and vegetables. That's the plan anyway. And the way that we're filling up these beds means it'll be a really good use of land clearance as well, because all these things here, this is a completely dead broom. Look, it's just dry as hell, totally dead. There's no seeds on it or anything, so if we put that in it won't regrow. So this whole thing can be pulled out and put in there. So I'm actually quite excited. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, but I'm still on the look at this, I'm still on the lookout for dead wood. We've got even more here. Perfect. So whilst Theo's chopping the wood from the trees that needs removing anyway because it's totally dead, I thought I'd take the truck down to the raised beds because you can't actually see, but it's got loads of stuff in the back that's just too much for me to carry. So I need to take that all down now, and then we can begin filling these beds. In the truck here we've got a couple of things I'm going to need to help me create the best raised bed of all time. Substrate, and then this is the old black, it's kind of like a felt. It's a material that stops weeds and stuff growing through, and also will protect our plants from the potentially hot tin, but I really don't think that that's actually going to be an issue at all. But it's more to keep the soil in so it doesn't come out of any gaps in the side. So I need to hammer it in. I can't reach from here, but I'm going to be hammering this in with the old tacks. And then over here you might have spotted, look at this, we're going to be creating an irrigation system, a self-watering irrigation system from the IBC that's tucked away over there, and there's all bits and stuff for that. So we've got the old water meter that'll just, you can set it to go off at different times for things like that. I'm excited actually, I'm very excited. So enough talk, I need to unload it all. I'd like to take a moment to say a massive thank you to our long-time sponsors Squarespace, who have sponsored today's video. If you don't know what Squarespace is, it's a fantastic online platform where you can build and design your very own websites. One of the reasons I really love Squarespace is because it's so easy to use. You don't need any experience with web design. They've got loads of really nice templates to choose from that you can customize completely to you. There's loads of great features such as drag and drop for the different elements that you want on your website. You can have a shop on there and access to analytics, which is really helpful for seeing where people are coming from, where they're clicking, and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to try out Squarespace, then click the link in our description or head to squarespace.com/indieprojects for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain, and a 2-week free trial. So what are you waiting for? If you want to build a website, click the link in our description and get to it. I found the best thing to do is roll out the black material and keep it as one long strip. So I'm going to do I'm going to do the whole circumference in one. Already started pinning it down here, you can see, and then I'll just do the floor separately. So I've made a skirt, so there'll be a nice overlap and it'll fit. And the tacks go in nice and easy, so this shouldn't take me any time at all really. I'd say hopefully in 10 minutes it'll be done. Black material is now all nicely fastened in place, and oh, what's that? The first log is in, as you can see. I now need to layer some logs, and I've got lots of different sized ones. That's a pretty small one. Over here we've got some, this is olive that Theo cut down. We've got some apple, we've got some fig. We've got quite a lot, so I'm going to start piling them in now. So I'm just going to drive the truck down to where Theo's been chopping loads of trees. There's apple and quite a few olives actually, and they are big, so I'm going to load them up in the truck, and then hopefully I'll have enough to make a bit of a dent in the raised bed because I just put about 10 heavy logs in, and let me just say, the bigger the bed, the more wood you're gonna need. I just thought I'd better say, if you're worried about Theo, where on earth is Theo? We've not seen him for a really long time. Has Bee buried him in the raised beds below the logs? No, don't worry. He's not buried in the raised beds, even though, you know, a human could easily fit in there. They are massive. He's actually had to head out to get a replacement chain. We borrowed a chainsaw from a really good friend of ours. Thank you very much for lending us that, but unfortunately the chain was blunt. So he went out to get a new one and pick up some other supplies whilst he was out. Always handy to be able to combine tasks in one. So what I'm going to do, because right now I can't really put too many logs in because a lot of them are quite gnarly and bendy and they need cutting up with the chainsaw. So I'm going to wait for him to arrive to cut up the majority of the big logs. I'm going to empty the truck and get some more stuff. So like I said, remember, we've got the wooden logs. Obviously they're logs, they're going to be wooden. And then we've got twigs and branches and stuff, so I need to start sourcing the twigs and branches, and we've got a whole heap of that somewhere. I think it's near the barn. Loads of old broom that we cut down a few months ago, so it's dried and dead and perfect to go in here, so I'm going to get that next. Tell you what, filling up these raised beds is definitely a very good workout. I'm so happy that we have all this land with stuff available for us to fill these massive raised beds in. Obviously, if we wanted to, we could have just filled it with soil and compost, but I'm quite excited about this and to see how it goes in the future, really. It should be pretty cool. Firstly, over here we've got a scrap wood pile. Now obviously things like this that have been treated aren't good because they've got chemicals on them, and you know, we're going to be eating these plants that are growing in this soil, so you don't want that. But all that, because it's got paint on it. But other things like this is some chestnut, that'll be perfect to rot down in there. Some pine, some more pine. This is just perfect. It's got a bit of paint on it, so it's not perfect, but you get the gist. The stuff without paint on it is utterly perfect, like that. Nice. I think I'm going to get quite a lot out of this. And then here we've got some old broom that we stacked up to make a barrier, and actually this is now prime material for the raised beds. So all of this is going to get hauled into the truck. I wonder how many trips I'm going to have to do. The truck is all the way over there, so wish me luck.
It's fair to say today is not going to plan.
For you anyway.
At all. You're doing good. That looks really cool.
It feels like I'm making big moves and then there's nothing in there.
It feels like I've done loads of things and nothing's happened. You know, you guys know, one of them days where everything seems to just not work out, but That fly again. I'm determined to make this day worthwhile. I've got a new chain for the chainsaw. The chainsaw that I went to buy had already been brought this morning by somebody else, so that was good. But anyway, I've ordered another one. I've got my friend's chainsaw, so thanks to him. He's gonna get a nice shiny new chain, hopefully, by the time that I've finished with it.
He's gonna get a nice blunt chain by the time you finish with it.
I haven't got much to cut down. Some pretty big trees and some pretty big branches and logs, but that's what we need, because we need to fill this monstrosity of a raised bed.
And we're just filling the one today.
Just the one. Also, I don't know if Bee mentioned, but we got a drip feed irrigation system, so I'm excited to set that up. Works so much nicer with a fresh chain on a chainsaw. It just goes through the trees like butter. I've just felled this tree, cut it right down, cut all the dead bits off, and we got some really good stuff to go in the raised bed. It's such a good way. I know a lot of you guys think they're absolutely massive.
They are.
They are absolutely massive, but part of the reason is all of this stuff has to go somewhere. It's not very nice to burn. It's dead. We couldn't really put it in the fire. There's like ants crawling all over it. So this is the best possible situation. It's already started to break down, and once it's on the bottom of this bed, it's got soil on it, compost, a whole ecosystem is going to appear inside this raised bed, and it's going to create the most amazing carrots. But look at this. We've saved this tree. So sprouting out of the other tree is a fresh tree.
A fresh olive tree.
Which was being completely overshadowed by loads of dead branches that weren't giving us any olives, so it makes sense to get rid of it. As bad as it is cutting down trees, I absolutely hate it.
It's not nice.
It feels so wrong, even though it's dead and it's not doing anything and it's better cut down, it still feels horrible to cut down a tree.
I thought I'd just talk you through whilst Theo does the heavy lifting. Look how many logs we've got. This isn't all of them either. This is quite a few, but as I think I've shown you the amount that I've got in there at the moment.
Who needs a donkey when you got me?
Look at that. So that is a massive log there. That one is huge. It's literally the width of my hand, and it just kind of gets swallowed up inside of this bed. But I imagine once Theo's plonked a whole heap in here, it'll start to fill up quite nicely, and then we've got all the broom to go on top, and then we'll walk all over it and crush it down, and then put some soil and compost on it and mulch and stuff. So Theo's doing an absolutely amazing job at loading the logs in. Well done, you're doing me proud.
It's a beautiful bit of wood.
It is lovely, isn't it? Isn't olive like really good for like carving spoons and stuff?
Yeah.
Here we have it. We've put all the logs in. And I'm actually really amazed. They've filled up a lot, which is brilliant and perfect. Look at Theo's face, he's happy. And now you're going to Theo's going to put a brace in across here that basically will prevent the sides from expanding outwards potentially, and meaning that I won't come down to the garden one day and discover that everything's exploded out. So he's just going to quickly do that. He's got all the bits and pieces for it. And then we're going to be putting all the twigs and sticks and leaves on. Perfect. They need to be broken down.
Imagine I just stay in here. Compost lovely, wouldn't it? That's the nicest veggies.
Nothing quite like rotting Theo.
People put chickens in there.
Yes. Well, just think. It's going to make the soil real good.
You want it at the top or you want it further down?
I don't mind. I
So
really
you
don't
can
mind.
either have it there.
Yeah, whatever's easiest for you, because you're the one who's having to build it.
It's your bed.
It is my bed, but I don't mind.
So you can have it there so it's easier to cover.
Yeah.
Or higher as like a divider.
I think have it there, so I don't know, because will that get in the way if I plant any plants there? Either have it at the top or much lower down.
Yeah, we'll have it at the top because that's
Yeah.
going to be the strongest.
Push that in.
Push that in.
The old wedge technique. Tried and tested.
Good old wedgie.
I've been left in limbo holding the wood up because, as usual, like Theo said, nothing is particularly going to plan today. The bit snapped, so he needs to go and find a replacement. And I know we'll have one somewhere, but it's one of those cases of it could be anywhere. It'll be in the horse box, but it could be anywhere in the horse box because it's an absolute dump. Man of the hour's back. You found one. Brilliant.
Found two and I just dropped one in the bed. Oh no.
Just remember, it's one of those days.
I refuse it to be one of those days.
Oh, I can let go now. That's brought it in by about 2 centimetres, hasn't it?
It has indeed.
I have actually sneakily started putting a few branches in rather than logs. I couldn't resist. Go on, test the strength. Test it. Oh!
That should do the trick.
Yeah, that should. We just went and got some dirt that was excavated from around the barn last year, which is pretty much perfect for going in here. We wanted to just fill up a bit of soil before we continued on, so it meant that there's a tiny bit of stability, because obviously this stuff is going to break down and it is going to move, especially when more stuff is added on top of it, so we don't want it to just plunge down really far. So we're going to do the soil bit first, and then we're going to put all of the old broom and mulch on there as well.
This massive tractor bucket is like a stone in the ocean.
It's a quarter of the size of this whole thing.
But no, it's filling up better than I thought. I'm going around the corners and around the edge just to pack it in, like Bee said. We don't want to put our topsoil on and our compost and have our veggies and come down one day and it's just been dropped to the bottom somehow.
Feeling very happy with the progress that we're making. We're now done, I'd say, with the stages of logs, twigs and sticks. We've filled it up to a really good height now. We've used olive, apple, fig, loads of broom, and it's looking fantastic. It really is. Look at this. Absolutely brilliant. Really happy with the amount of stuff that's in there. That's going to rot down and be superb. Next on the agenda is to add a nice layer of mulch and composting material, which I think leaves most definitely are. They'll break down lovely and create a wonderful compost. Absolutely glorious. So Theo's just doing a fantastic job of scooping them all up. Look at that craftsmanship. Look at his face. Sheer will and determination. It's dusty. Woo, dusty. So just when we were going to get some more leaves, I was walking with the rake and a snake went across my path, which was amazing. A really beautiful snake. So I called Theo over to come and see the snake and he started climbing a tree. It was the coolest thing to see. Theo got a shot on his phone, so we'll put that in now. And we're going to put the final layer of leaves in. Put one, not quite enough. This will work as a really good compost. Look at that, beautiful, beautiful. So that's it for today because the sun is just about to set. So we've got all the leaves in there. We've done all of the big work that needed doing. The logs are in, the twigs are in, the branches, the sticks, the leaves to act as a compost. And next thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to do it on camera because it's getting too dark to film, but I'm going to water it all down to help it settle down and bed down before we add the soil and the compost and the topsoil and everything. But I know it might look like this is like a really big process, and it is to begin with, but once this is done, we've then got this fantastic area to grow our things for a really long time. We won't have to be doing any more digging and all of that kind of stuff. It's all going to be there just doing its own thing. So for years to come, hopefully, we should have a really nice space where we can grow fruit and vegetables and eat them ourselves, which is really exciting. It has been a labour of love, definitely, and it's been quite dirty work. I don't know if you can tell, but I am covered in a layer of dust, but either way it's been a lot of fun to do, and I'm really excited for our garden to come to life. It's something that I have dreamed about for a really long time. So thank you for watching, thank you for sticking around. I really hope that you've enjoyed it. If you've done something like this, let me know how it's gone for you, and if you've got any tips and tricks, drop them in the comments because I would love to hear them. See you on the next video.